All right. Queenie, welcome to
Thank
No
you.
Man.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's just start from the top, get a little backstory. Where are you from?
That question is so hard nowadays, like the older I get.
Mhm.
Um, so I'll just take you through it. I was born in Long Island. After that, I lived in Brooklyn. And then at the age of 3, I moved to Panama, the country. I lived there for a few years. Yeah, so I actually started school there. And then I came back to the States when I was about 6 years old. I lived in Brooklyn. And then from there, I moved to Atlanta. I was about 12 or 13. My accent is still potent though. So typically when people, ask me where I'm from, I say New York because I know that's why you're asking.
Yeah.
But that's just because I always travel back there. I lived in Miami for some time. So
You a little bit all over the world.
yeah.
So did you have like family in Panama or
Yeah, I have family in Panama to this day. Actually, my mom lives in Panama now. And then her father's side of the family predominantly lives in Panama. So I have cousins there that's like, when are you coming? I haven't been back to Panama as like an adult. So they're like, you gotta come now because we're gonna have a time. So
so where are your parents from?
Panama.
Okay, so both of them were from
Both of
Panama.
them are Panamanian. Yeah, I'm very Panamanian.
So they immigrated to New York. You were born there, and then you went back to Panama and you moved there. Okay. God, that's dope. That's super
Yeah,
dope. That's super
thank you.
dope.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm first generation American.
So you said you were in Atlanta from 12 and you pretty much stayed here, or then you went to Miami, or how'd you end up back
hmm
in Atlanta?
I got hit with a hurricane Irma in Miami, and huh?
What year was that?
2017.
Oh, okay.
hmm So it flooded my job. I worked on as a server on South Beach. So it was over with. There was no business. The restaurants were flooded. And I didn't really have anywhere to go. And thankfully, my producer, Danny Louie, he was like, come out here, come back home, and I decided to come back here.
Okay. Oh, oh. So
hmm
what was it like growing up? Because you was traveling so much and going from school to school, place to country to country.
Yeah.
So like, what was that life as a kid?
I'm sorry about that. Going to Panama was difficult because it was like a complete change from what I knew in New York. I was being raised with a really large family, and we were always together. Like throughout the week, we were together. And so I went from that as a kid to moving to Panama, where it was still pretty family oriented, but it was completely different. The language was different. The people were different. I was really young, and I lived with my grandmother and not my parents. So that was a little transition for me. But coming back, I was ecstatic. Living in Brooklyn, I loved. I had a full life as a kid in Brooklyn. Moving to Atlanta, I didn't like so much. And I'm sorry, I know you're from
Hey,
Georgia,
hey.
but you said you didn't like New York.
Hey, you know what I mean?
And I think it's for a reason. I think it's because it's so different. So I always and this is pretty drastic, but I always describe it as like running full force into a brick wall because you gotta. He said, "Oh."
I know where I'm going.
Yeah, because you got to think like I'm growing up in Brooklyn with Brownsville at that, which is very much so the city compared to here. It's not like Manhattan in New York, but still it's the city. So I'm used to fast life. I could go up the street to my friend's house. I could, like she said, go outside, play double dutch. I could, the things that you hear about New York, the ice cream trucks and chasing ice cream trucks and stuff like that. And then you come here and it's like you could hear a pin drop. You know what I mean? So it was a transition for sure.
Well, you made it to the better state.
No, but I no 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 no, but I now that I'm older, I appreciate it so much. Like the stillness, the calmness is something that I need. I'm also an introvert. I'm also an Aquarius, so just things like this make me a little nervous and stuff. So just I need the stillness.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that I realized. Like, I really like the city. I like being in the city, but I grew up in the suburbs, so like I had that appreciation for being able to look up and see the stars. You know what I'm saying? Being able to just have that silence at night. But when I moved into Atlanta when I was 18, that's when I fell in love with the city because like, I know people who probably like born and raised in the city, they don't, or they're just used to the sound of the train. But I
Yeah.
I lived right next to the train track, so I was like, I love this shit. So like when I moved
Mm.
back to the suburbs, I was like, I don't hear the train anymore. like what's going
Yes,
on,
that's crazy. Yeah, 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 yeah. I
But
had
like,
that experience too with the railroads and
mhm,
stuff. Yeah, on the south side.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it's like comparison in Atlanta. I grew up, I always wanted to drive. Go being in New York as a kid, those are child memories. But then as an adult, I was just like, this place sucks. I'm like, I can't drive nowhere. I gotta walk everywhere. I gotta take the train. Because I was like, I don't want to take the train because I don't really know how the system works. So I'm gonna take
Hmm.
bikes, and I okay. So I took a city bike
The deep
from.
exhale.
So I took a city bike from
Hmm.
Dumbo, Manhattan,
Hmm.
all the way to Bed-Stuy.
Hmm.
Stupid,
Okay.
but the worst part about it was city bikes notoriously do not be working. So I'm going
Okay.
across this bridge, up this bridge with a non-working bike. So I'm fighting against the
Oh
bridge
my
and the bike. Yeah,
God.
it
Did you
was.
just get off and walk?
Yes,
Okay,
that's exactly
cool.
what I did
Cool, cool,
actually.
cool.
Yeah, the city, New York City is not for me. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the more I go, it's like I understand it, but I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm not moving here ever.
Yeah, it's harsh. It's harsh for sure.
So you know, throughout your childhood, going from place to place, at what point did you start picking up that you were in love with music?
I mean, I think that music has always been super important in my life without me realizing. My dad always says, again, back to the big family that I was raised in, um, he always says, all your family need is a pot and a spoon, and it's a party,
Mm-hmm.
which means all they need is like a pot and a spoon to bang and make a beat, and it's lit. And we listen to so many different genres. I was raised on soca and calypso and reggae and salsa and merengue, bachata. You know what I mean? Hip hop, R&B. It was so many different genres around me that I couldn't really escape music. I think when I realized that I wanted to make music was through poetry. That came after, like maybe after college. I met my producer Danny in college, and he, to this day, he won't forgive me. He's like, "We could have been doing this," because he was like, because he had just started to make beats and stuff, and I was rapping. I
Right.
was ciphering with the guys and stuff in college, but I was not trying to take music serious at all. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. My mom. I call her fake Puerto Rican because we don't have any Puerto Rican in our blood. But she lived in Puerto Rico for some time, so she can speak fluent Spanish. So she would work or volunteer, I guess, at this place called Los Niños. So she would take me there. I would be like in the classes, and then once I got older, I would be volunteer and stuff. So I was always around um, Spanish culture, I guess you'd say, or Latin culture. So bachata, reggae. My dad's Jamaican, so reggae, dance hall, all that. Like I was surrounded by a bunch of different types of music, and my sister, she was into alternative music. So I'm listening to rock bands. I grew up in the 2000s, so that was pretty much all I was hearing for the most part. And then of course, my dad, he'd be listening to MTV, BET. So I'm getting used to, my mom loves Biggie, so like Biggie, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I was pretty much always surrounded by music, and even though I don't make music unless I'll drop a verse once a year, and that's just because I'm with my friends. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Once a year, I meet my quota. What's it called? But music has always been a part of my life.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
So, how does it feel to be in an era of hip hop where women are dominating?
Yo, that's so crazy. I had this conversation earlier today. Um, Beautiful. Samara Sin just dropped, listened to her song 4 times in a row.
Yeah, you talking about the one she? I think I just saved it
It's
actually.
something olives,
Yeah, I think I know what you're
peel
talking
and
about.
olives or olives, something. I'm sorry I'm messing it up, but love the song. So she dropped Dochi. Dochi is
Yeah.
killing it right now. It's just beautiful to see. But what I was saying earlier is it's not just beautiful that women are dominating right now, but one of the reasons why I decided to do music was to contribute to the balance of what is being marketed when it comes to rap in general, because we never say there's not a such thing as like male rap. It's always like female rap is something that you hear, but you never hear male rap. But rap in general, I think that what's being marketed is fine. There's a target audience for that, but I also feel like there's not a balance when it comes to different audiences out there, and the people like Samara Sin, people like Dochi, who has everything, you know what I mean, are really representing, and I just appreciate it. And of course, all of the people that you hear of too, the Meg Thee Stallions, the Cardi B's, I just appreciate everybody for what they're doing.
So, how has it been navigating the music industry as a Black woman, and have you faced any challenges?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Just as a woman and as a Black woman in general, no matter what field you're in, unfortunately, you're going to face some challenges. So for me, one of the challenges that I face is being underestimated a lot. Or, you know, um, I feel like I have to overcompensate for my personality sometimes to make people feel comfortable. Like if a man says something in a clearly or precise way, then he's a boss. Like I heard Nikki say that before. Like he's a boss, is respected. But if I tell you exactly what I need, then it might be taken some type of way. Or so I feel like I have to soften myself to help you understand that I want to be clear. So that's kind of a disadvantage there, but definitely the underestimated musically, but also business wise too. So
Yeah, absolutely. One thing for me, like I said, being raised by women, my mom, with her, and it's, I feel like it's not even like just a woman thing where it's her.
okay.
she tone is a thing. So
Okay.
like it taught me that a lot of times you have to listen to what they're saying and not how they say it. So like I understand what you're saying, where like as a woman you might just be saying what you need from a situation and it being perceived as like, oh, this one's a B or something like that. And
Yeah,
it's just like,
or
no, I'm
yeah,
just saying what I want.
she's
You
a
know?
diva.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
Lord.
You know?
And it's like, oh, just want to say what I like or what I
Right.
don't like, and yeah.
Exactly. So, are there any women in your life or in the industry that you look to for inspiration or as a blueprint?
Um, I think like uh, as an artist, I feel like we gain inspiration. We're like sponges, we take in and then we create from what we've experienced. So I feel like I can't really say just one woman. I know Tabitha said that too. It's like I really can't. I feel like there's so many women that inspire me. Like I'm looking at her skin right now, and I'm like, good, great. Yeah. So anything could inspire me in any way. Whether it be like emotionally or spiritually or musically. So.
Would you say that there's like, when you were first kind of getting into music, that there was like a certain artist that you were like, her style I like, or I like how she presents, or I like how she dresses, or just like how her flows, or anything like Pia Nikki or Missy Elliott or anything? Is there anyone for you that you have?
All of the above. First, Lil Kim. I remember having Lil Kim poster, the Notorious K.I.M. poster on my wall, as a kid. And my dad, he to this day is like a party joke that he tells, and he's like, yeah, my I was named after Queen Latifah, so my name is Latifah. So he'll be like, yeah, I asked Latifah who she looks up to as a kid, and she said Little Kim, and he's like, whoa. But she has a confidence to her that's undeniable. Her style, she seems like a sweetheart. Her cadence, the way she presented herself on music, it was beautiful. You said Missy Elliott. Also, Missy gave us dance. She gave us character. She gave us entertainment fully, and the song construct. Let's not talk about song construction with her songwriting ability. Nikki, same thing, powerful character. You know what I mean? Like she marketed herself in a way where you saw her and understood it right away. And let's not talk about musically. Her pen is crazy. Her delivery, Nikki, people honor her for her pen, but I think we don't honor her enough for her ability to deliver, because the way that she uses her voice as an instrument is crazy.
Absolutely insane. That's why she's the best. That's why she's the best. So let's talk a little bit about That's Fenty. Let's talk about your new song. Mm-hmm. So what were the emotions you were feeling while making your song?
Cocky. When I was writing, it was like I was writing it on a mic. So I write in many different ways. I write on a mic, and I physically write, and I write on the phone. And each way gives me different things. Like if I want to write bars, then I'm gonna breathe because I'm cold and nervous. I'm shaking. Hold on. Okay. So when I write on the phone, I'm writing bars. You know what I mean? I'm able to see my words. My pen is gonna be crazy. My bar is gonna hit. When I'm writing on the mic, I'm able to flow better because I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm able to ride spiritually, like on the beat. And so when I was writing Fenty, I wrote on a mic. So it's very like, keep it 100. I'll say, yeah, just keep it 20. It's a vibe, you know what I mean? Versus when you hear Tunnel Vision, I'm like, I'm coming with my pen, you know, like as a rapper, as a lyricist. So cocky. I wanted everybody to feel that energy.
Yeah, so that was gonna be like my next question. Like, what was the feeling that you wanted people to feel, or like the girls to feel when they heard that?
Yeah, like just very secure in themselves, and I just feel like everyone's unique, you know, in their own way. There is no me, there is no you, and I feel like everybody should have a sense of confidence when it comes to that, you know. I think like cockiness and confidence is looked down upon a lot because I don't know why, but I think that we should own that a bit more. I feel like it would cause less lack of communication. I think when you are secure and confident in yourself, um, it allows you to have empathy, more empathy for others. So
yeah, I feel that. Like, notorious shit talker is what I am. Okay. Notorious. I think I'm much more so when I was younger. Now I feel like I've calmed down a little bit, but I still have moments. I still have my moments. But I feel like the difference between like cockiness and confidence is like cockiness typically, not all the time, but typically it's like they're not able to back it up. People who are typically cocky aren't able to back it up, and that's when it's like looked down on. But if you're confident and you pop your shit and then you're able to back it up, then it's like, to me, I respect it because it's like that's why I do it, because like, I'm gonna talk my shit and I'm gonna do it, right? And it's like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like if someone's coming around like, oh, I'm the best, and then they get put up against somebody or it's time for them to perform and they fall flat on their face, and it's like, so what was all that for? You
yeah,
know, like, right. You know what I'm saying?
Which it can happen still. You can feel like you're the best. You know, and everything in you, but still fall flat.
Exactly. And as someone who talks shit, there's been plenty of times I talk the most shit and I end up losing. And I'm like, well, you know, you gotta eat that. You know, they just gotta eat that, you know?
Yeah. And it doesn't take away from who you are at all.
Absolutely.
If anything, it adds to it.
It's the character. It's the character because, you know, I think a lot of people, like, if we look into like sports, Ronda Rousey, she was on a streak, not losing, beating everybody, just pop, 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 whooping everybody up.
Who's that? Sorry, I'm so bad at sports. Sorry.
So UFC, she was a fighter.
Okay.
Ronda Rousey, she was the best women. She was like the world champion or whatever. She literally had a 0 losing streak. Every fight she did, she was winning. One day she fought Holly Holmes. Holly Holmes, Ronda Rousey. Okay. Holly Holmes whooped her so bad.
For real?
Like so bad. They're like, whew, walked her.
Dang.
And it broke her. Really? Ronda Rousey I don't think she won again after that. She tried to do a rematch, got whooped on. Wait, did she beat her? No, she did. Yeah, yeah. She and Holly didn't even like have like a super fantastic career after that. Like I think she just kind of was average with her. People don't really talk about it that much, but it's like Holly was the one who beat Rhonda, and Rhonda just went on a downward spiral. Like she still tried to be like, oh, I'm the best, but it's like that. Her ego was so high when she finally lost, she wasn't able to recover. You know, so it's like it's super important to take losses as lessons, and you can't once you hit one roadblock or you take one loss, you got to be able to get back up, you know? And that's the
Yeah.
difference between cockiness and confidence. She was cocky. She was winning. When she lost, she wasn't able to pick herself back up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I feel that way about life experiences too. So I'm doing this new thing. I don't know if it's new to anybody, but it's new to me, where I'm starting to take discomfort as a notification versus something to like harp on. So if I am uncomfortable with anything, it's just to tell me that I either need to assess myself. Either way, you assess yourself, but it's either something that you're solely doing and creating for yourself or something that needs to be removed. But either way, there's a change.
I like that. I like that. I like that. So did you expect That's Fenty to get the reception that it did?
Yeah. No. Just cause why not? You know what I mean? I just feel like if I'm connected to it and I'm vibing with it, and when I heard it, I've had That's Fenty for like almost a year before. Like I think I wrote it around this time last year. So before you guys heard it. So how I know when I really, really like a song is if I've been sitting on it for some time and I play it again and I'm like,
Right.
you know what I mean? So I just feel like if I feel that way, then I know that there's many people like me that can feel that way. And sometimes we tend to feel like, oh, okay, maybe it's not good if you put it out and people are not receptive to it, but you never know that. That could just mean that the people that are listening to it don't like it, but yeah, people are out there, but we live in a pool of algorithm and where you may not be in front of your people. Your people could be, I don't even know, Thailand, Africa, somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I feel like there's always those moments when you hear a song and you just feel it. Like you just know it. Like that's how I feel when it comes to when I create visuals. You know, like sometimes I'll make a visual and I'm like, technically this is a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I did all the right things. This is a quality image, but you know what I'm saying? It's not like crazy. But then, like most recently, like with Say Lobby, the video that we did with Rokai. When I finished it, I was like, yep. That's
a beautiful feeling. Like when you could stand behind your creation.
Yeah, and I feel like that it's super important for all type of artists to go back and look at their old work. And it's important to study your own work and to be like, okay, this was fire. Like I was cooking. Or that one I thought it was good at the time, but looking back, I could have done better or wasn't that good. So you can, just see the growth, but you can also be able to pull things, be like, you can learn from it, or you can adapt on it, or you can keep doing that because this worked.
Exactly. Yeah. Agreed.
So, how did it feel getting gifted the Pumas, the Puma and Fenty color?
Oh, that was crazy. That was crazy. It's so crazy because I got gifted them. So I had them for like a week before I actually did the unboxing just because, there were things, I don't want to sound like, oh, I had stuff to do, but it's just things that like I'm working on. I have a show coming up. Right. But so once I got a chance to open them and I honestly didn't know that they were going to be the Fenty Pumas too. So just the fact that Puma sent them was fire. And then on top of it, it was like, specifically the Fenty Puma sneakers. I was like, that's crazy. And then my manager just told me like yesterday that Puma really enjoyed the content that we put out too. And I'm like, what is this? Are we having a conversation with Puma? Right. This is crazy. Yeah. So, it's just really cool.
So you kind of showed a little bit when you were like took a breath during the interview, but how do you stay grounded?
Yeah, like um so I now know that my emotions is a superpower. Before I used to I didn't really pay attention to my emotions. I just reacted to my emotions. And then I got to a point where I started to feel bad for being so emotional. But now I'm just growing into like understanding that my emotions is a part of me and it's actually a superpower, and I'm learning it right now. You know what I mean? And so it might look awkward. It might, like right now speaking, I'm an emotional person, and so like I get nervous and things like that. And before I would look at stuff like this and I'll be like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. I was so nervous. Now I'm starting to like accept who I am right now and know that, well, at the end of the day, I'm human, and that's part of I'm bubbling with emotion. You know what I mean? And that's special. And so, one of the things that keep me grounded is paying attention to my emotions and learning them when I feel them so that I can know where I need to be, almost using them as like a guide. So knowing when I need to take that breather, when I need, okay, let's relax here. Let's and then now I feel much better. Just stuff like that. Meditation, love.
Mhm. Yeah, so I have she's a no band member, Dev. Been friends with her since college, so 2019. And when she moved to New York, she started doing like more yoga and more like holistic type things. So she actually got me into doing yoga. And since then, I've kind of just started getting, I guess you could say, like tapping more into my spiritualness of self.
Mm-hmm.
And now I meditate, and now I'm a lot more mindful about my mental state. You know what I'm saying? Um, Out of my family, I'm the most neurotypical, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So like a lot of mental health stuff, I would kind of
Mm-hmm.
like not dismiss, like it doesn't exist, but like it was just like I don't really relate to that, you know.
Yeah.
But as I got older and life stresses started piling more on, I started realizing how important it was to have a routine of meditation, yoga, being more mindful, being like, you know what, let me slow down on the screen time. Let me just, if something's feeling overwhelming, instead of rushing to drugs, let me just be like, you know what, let me just take a deep breath. Let me
Yeah.
just meditate. Let me really process what's happening real quick, and then we can go from there.
Agreed.
So I think it's super important to be like finding those ways and those healthy habits to become grounded.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better.
So last question: what's your message to the women watching that might want to start their creative and artistic journey?
um, that's a good question. So I want to make sure. I would say start from within. When you start from outside, then you're watering yourself down. If you start from within, then you are giving of self, but being open to learn and progress. So everything, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. There is no you. That right there is just so special to me, there's no body else like you. And so if you are creating, that means that you're bringing something alive. You're making something exist that didn't exist before. So what does that look like from inside? And then you'll see that when once it's alive, you'll see how many influences and where it came from and da 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 da. Like you'll be able to hear certain things, but ultimately the beauty starts from within. Sorry if that sounds cheesy. The beauty starts from within. But no, honestly, it does.
think that was beautiful. I think
Thank
that was
you.
great. I'm glad you took your time to, think of that,
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Oh, and can I say more?
Yeah, go for it.
Empathy. Give yourself empathy. Like, this is a learning process. It's not just what you give, you're also going to be receiving in the process. And that is not just creatively. If you're just someone that's going to be in a room creating art with nobody viewing, then okay, fine. You do whatever you want. But if you are a person that's going to put your art out there, you're going to receive. You're going to receive criticism. You're going to receive compliments. You got to know what to do with both. You're also going to gain a lot of responsibility. You're going to gain responsibility when it comes to business and creatively. So that comes with the learning process of yourself. You're going to have to learn patience. You're going to have to learn your triggers. You're going to have to learn many different things about yourself that actually affects your art because it starts from within. So if you don't live up to your expectations, it's because we should trash having expectations. Let's give ourselves empathy and be patient.
Heavy on the patience. Heavy on the patience.
Heavy on that patience. That's what I'm practicing right now, at least.
So, last things is you kind of just, shout out your social, shout out where they can find you, talk
to the camera this time. Hey. So Queenie Lasoul everywhere. You can find me all social media platforms, Insta, TikTok, Facebook, all the socials. Queenie Lasoul. All the streaming platforms, Queenie Lasoul. That's QueenieLasoul.